Every day, thousands of seniors sip a warm cup of bone broth, hoping to feel younger, move easier, and live longer. But what if I told you, you could drink it every day and still age faster, if you make these common mistakes? Today, we'll talk about the 7 bone broth mistakes most seniors make, and what to do instead, backed by real nutrition science. Hi, and I help people over 60 stay strong, sharp, and full of life, with evidence-based health tips that actually work. If you haven't yet, hit subscribe and turn on the bell. Because every week, we'll uncover small changes that make a big difference. For your energy, your body, and your confidence. Alright, let's start with mistake number 1. The most common one of all. And honestly, it's probably the one you've made this week. Many older adults think bone broth is a perfect meal replacement. It feels light, it's packed with nutrients, and is easier on the stomach than solid food. So they skip breakfast, skip dinner, and just sip broth instead, hoping to lose fat and stay healthy. Sounds logical, right? Unfortunately, this is a dangerous habit. Bone broth is rich in flavor, but poor in protein and calories. 1 cup has about 6 to 9 grams of protein. Less than a single egg. That's nowhere near enough to maintain your muscles, your energy, or your immune system. Over time, this lack of nutrition starts to show. You lose strength. Your skin thins. You feel tired and dizzy. And your immune defenses weaken. A 2019 study in the Journal of Nutrition found that older adults who consistently underate protein had up to 40% higher risk of early death within 2 years. Mostly from infections and frailty. So replacing real meals with just bone broth isn't just ineffective, it can be dangerous. Here's what you can do instead. Drink bone broth with your meals, not instead of them. Try sipping a warm cup about 30 minutes before you eat. It helps your digestion, warms your gut, and prepares your body to absorb nutrients. Or, turn your bone broth into a complete meal. Use it as a base for soups with vegetables, beans, and lean meats. You'll still get all the collagen benefits. But you'll also give your body the calories, vitamins, and minerals it needs to thrive. Want a quick upgrade? Blend 1 cup of warm bone broth with a spoon of Greek yogurt, a few berries, and a handful of nuts or seeds. It's creamy, rich, and full of balanced nutrition. Remember this simple rule. Bone broth should support your meals, not replace them. Your body needs real food to stay strong, to fight disease, and to keep your muscles working as you age. And even if you don't replace your meals with bone broth, there's another mistake that could still be silently harming your health. A mistake most people make in their kitchen, without even realizing it. That's what we'll uncover next. How long you simmer your bone broth could be the difference between a healing drink and a nutrient-poor soup that does more harm than good. Every time someone makes bone broth at home, they believe they're doing something great for their body. And yes, bone broth can be healing, if it's made right. But here's a mistake that quietly ruins its benefits for most people. It's the reason your broth sometimes looks cloudy, tastes thin, and doesn't make you feel any better after drinking it. Mistake number 2, rushing the simmer. Many older adults cook their bone broth for only 2 or 3 hours. They see the color turn golden and think, that's enough. But here's what really happens inside that pot. When you stop too early, the collagen, minerals, and amino acids inside those bones haven't been released yet. Your broth ends up weak, almost like flavored water, without the healing nutrients your body actually needs. Good bone broth takes time. Not because it's trendy or old-fashioned, but because real extraction happens slowly. It takes gentle heat and long hours for bones to release their minerals and gelatin into the water. Studies on nutrient extraction show that collagen and calcium increase gradually over the first 12 to 24 hours of simmering. After that, the levels rise more slowly and finally stabilize. So if you stop at 3 hours, you're leaving most of the goodness behind. Now, here's another reason rushing can be risky. When the broth isn't heated long enough, it might not reach a sustained temperature. That kills certain bacteria naturally present in raw bones. That doesn't mean it's poisonous. But for an aging immune system, it's simply not worth the risk. So what's the right approach? Think of bone broth like slow therapy for your body. Give it time, but not forever. For chicken or fish bones, simmer 12 to 20 hours. For beef or pork bones, 20 to 24 hours is ideal. Keep the heat low, with small, lazy bubbles, not a hard boil. And don't forget one powerful secret most people skip. Add a tablespoon or two of apple cider vinegar or lemon juice. Right at the start, before turning on the heat. That gentle acidity helps release minerals such as calcium and magnesium more efficiently, giving you a richer, more nourishing broth. If you're worried about leaving the stove on that long, use a slow cooker or an instant pot on the low setting. It's safer, quieter, and energy efficient. When it's finally done, you'll notice the difference. A properly simmered broth turns slightly gelatinous when cooled. That soft wobble means you've captured the collagen, the very compound your joints, skin, and gut lining will thank you for. So don't rush the simmer, because what your body really needs can't be extracted in a hurry. Healing takes time, and your broth should too. And even if you've given your broth all the time it needs, there's another hidden mistake that almost everyone still makes. A simple detail most people overlook that could rob your bones of their vital minerals. We'll uncover that in the next part. Mistake number 3, forgetting the acid. Most people toss their bones straight into a pot of water, turn up the heat, and call it a day. They think heat alone will do the work. But there's one tiny detail that quietly decides whether your bone broth is nutrient-rich or just a pot of flavored water. That detail is acid. And skipping it is mistake number 3, forgetting the acid. It might sound strange. Why add something sour to soup? But here's what science says. Bones are hard, dense structures. They lock in calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus deep inside. Water alone can't pull those minerals out effectively. That's where acid comes in. A small amount of apple cider vinegar or lemon juice helps break down the mineral bonds inside the bones, allowing those nutrients to move into your broth. Without it, most of the good stuff stays trapped, and your broth ends up tasting fine, but offering very little nourishment. Researchers tested this years ago by simmering batches of broth with and without vinegar. The results were striking. The acidified broths contained nearly twice as much calcium and magnesium as the plain ones. In short, those few tablespoons make a real difference. So how do you do it right? Before turning on the heat, add about 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar or fresh lemon juice for every 2 pounds of bones. Then, and this part matters, let the bones sit in that cool, acidic water for about 30 minutes before heating. This soak allows the acid to start dissolving the mineral layer gently. After that, turn on your heat and bring it to a slow simmer. Some people worry the vinegar will make the broth sour. Don't. After hours of gentle cooking, that slight tang disappears completely, leaving your broth richer, deeper, and smoother in flavor. And if you're sensitive to vinegar, fresh lemon juice works just as well. Even a bit of tomato or onion can add mild natural acids to help with mineral release. Now, here's why this matters even more for seniors. As we age, our stomach acid naturally decreases. That means our bodies already struggle to absorb minerals like calcium, magnesium, and zinc from food. So if your broth never had those minerals released to begin with, you're missing a valuable opportunity to support your bones and heart. Think of the acid step as doing part of the digestion work for you, breaking things down so your body can absorb them more easily. It's gentle chemistry with a huge payoff. So don't skip the acid. Those 2 tablespoons could be the difference between a broth that simply warms you up and a broth that truly nourishes you from the inside out. Let your broth work smarter, not just longer. Because even if you've added the acid, simmered it for the right amount of time, and avoided using it as a meal replacement, there's still another trap almost everyone falls into. And it has nothing to do with flavor. It's about what you don't put in your broth. Something that could quietly throw off your body's balance and cause serious fatigue, dizziness, or even hospitalization. If you're not careful, that's coming up next. Mistake number 4, skipping the salt entirely. We've added the acid, we've given the broth time, and we've made sure it's not our only meal. But there's another mistake that happens in almost every senior kitchen across America. And this one can turn a healthy habit into something that quietly drains your strength. Mistake number 4, skipping the salt entirely. For decades, doctors told us, cut down on salt if you have high blood pressure. And that advice can be right, in the right context. But too often, seniors hear that message and take it to the extreme. They cut out all salt, everywhere, even from their bone broth. That sounds safe, but here's the hidden danger. When you drink large amounts of liquid with almost no sodium, your blood becomes diluted. Your body loses its electrolyte balance. And your cells begin to swell, especially in the brain. This condition has a name: hyponatremia. It's not rare, and it's not harmless. In older adults, it can cause confusion, dizziness, nausea, muscle weakness, and in severe cases, seizures or fainting spells. And here's the part most people never hear. Hyponatremia is far more common in seniors who drink lots of low-sodium soups, broths, or herbal teas every day. That doesn't mean you should pour salt like crazy. Too much sodium is just as dangerous for the heart. The key is balance, giving your body enough electrolytes to help muscles contract, nerves send signals, and your brain stay alert. You see, sodium isn't the enemy. It's a helper. It works together with potassium, magnesium, and water to keep your blood pressure stable and your organs working properly. When your bone broth is completely salt-free, you're essentially flooding your system with plain water. That water passes through your body too quickly, taking minerals with it, instead of helping you absorb them. So even if your broth is full of collagen and calcium, your body may not use them efficiently without proper sodium levels. So, what's the right approach? Start small. Add about 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon of sea salt for every quart of bone broth. Taste, adjust, and always listen to your doctor's advice. If you're managing blood pressure or kidney conditions, and not all salts are equal, refined table salt is fine. But mineral-rich options like Himalayan pink salt or Celtic sea salt bring extra trace minerals that your body needs in tiny amounts. If you're worried about sodium sensitivity, pair your salt with potassium-rich foods like avocado, spinach, or beans to help balance fluid levels naturally. One more note. When you make homemade broth, you control the salt content. That's a big advantage compared to store-bought broths, which can contain 600 to 900 milligrams of sodium per cup. Your home version can be both safer and healthier if you measure carefully. So remember, salt is not your enemy. It's your ally, in moderation. A pinch of salt can be the difference between feeling lightheaded and feeling alive. Now, even with the right amount of salt, enough simmering time, and a little acid for mineral release, there's still another habit. That's robbing your bone broth of its full healing power. It's something many people do automatically, because they think fat is bad. Coming up next. Mistake number 5, throwing away all the fat. When your bone broth finally cools down, you'll notice a thin, creamy layer of fat floating or solidifying on the top. And that's usually the moment when most people grab a spoon and start skimming it all off. It looks oily. It feels heavy. And for decades, we've been told, fat clogs your arteries, fat is bad for your heart. So people throw every drop of it away, believing they're doing the healthy thing. But here's the truth. Removing all the fat might be one of the worst mistakes you can make with bone broth. That fat isn't junk. It's nourishment. It carries essential fat-soluble vitamins, A, D, E, and K. Nutrients your body can't absorb without fat. They keep your immune system strong, your bones healthy, and your blood clotting properly. When you skim away every bit of fat, you're not just removing calories. You're throwing out vitamins, minerals, and the very compounds that help your brain and joints function. You see, your brain is made of nearly 60% fat. It needs healthy fats to stay sharp and balanced. When your diet is too low in fat, you may experience brain fog, memory loss, mood swings, and even early cognitive decline. That's why many seniors who completely avoid fat often struggle with energy, concentration, and depression. Not because they're aging, but because their brains are running on empty fuel. Now, here's where bone broth shines. The natural fat in it isn't the same as processed oil or fried grease. It's a gentle, nourishing fat that includes small amounts of omega-3s and conjugated linoleic acid, compounds that support heart and brain health when eaten moderately. In fact, the marrow fat from bones contains rare molecules called alkylglycerols, also found in shark liver oil, which help your body make white blood cells and strengthen your immune defense. That's powerful chemistry nature already built in. So, how should you handle the fat layer? You don't need to drink it all. You just need to keep part of it. When your broth cools, let the fat rise and solidify. Then, Spoon off about half and save the rest. 2 to 3 tablespoons per cup is the sweet spot for most people. It gives your body what it needs, without making the broth too rich. If the flavor still feels heavy, you can mix the broth with hot water or vegetables when reheating. That keeps the nutrition while lightening the texture. Remember, moderation is the key. The goal isn't to drown your broth in grease, but to let some of that natural fat carry the nutrients where they belong. So next time you see that golden layer on top, don't rush to scrape it off. That's not the enemy. That's part of the medicine. Keep a little. Taste the richness. And let your body have the vitamins it deserves. Because even if you've kept the fat, added the right amount of salt, used acid for minerals, and simmered long enough for full extraction, there's still one simple mistake that can ruin everything you've worked for, without you realizing it. It's not about ingredients this time. It's about temperature. And it's the reason some broths heal, while others quietly harm your body. Coming up next. Mistake number 6, boiling instead of simmering. If you've done everything right so far, added the acid, kept some fat, and simmered for long enough, you're already ahead of most people. But there's one more mistake that can quietly undo all that effort. It's simple. It happens in almost every kitchen. And it has nothing to do with ingredients, but with temperature. Mistake number 6, boiling instead of simmering. Here's what most people do. They think the hotter the better. They turn the heat all the way up, let the broth boil hard for hours, and feel proud watching those big rolling bubbles. It looks powerful. It sounds like it's working harder. But in reality, that hard boil is destroying the very nutrients you're trying to preserve. When broth boils violently, the high heat breaks apart collagen molecules too fast. Instead of dissolving gently into gelatin, they break down into fragments your body can't use as effectively. The result? A cloudy, harsh-tasting broth. That's far less nourishing than it could be. That intense heat also oxidizes the natural fats and creates compounds that make the broth taste bitter or burnt. You might notice a sour smell or an oily film on top. That's your signal the temperature was too high. But here's something most people never realize. Good broth doesn't need to bubble like a volcano. It needs to breathe. A perfect simmer looks calm. Tiny, lazy bubbles rising now and then. A faint ripple across the surface. The pot humming quietly on low heat. At this temperature, around 180 to 185 degrees Fahrenheit, collagen slowly melts into gelatin. Minerals release evenly. And flavors deepen naturally. That's how you get a broth that turns slightly jiggly once it cools in the fridge. That soft wobble, that's pure nourishment. If you're unsure whether it's too hot, trust your eyes. If you see large, rolling bubbles, turn the heat down. If the surface barely moves, you're in the sweet spot. Slow cookers and instant pots can help too. Use the low setting for long simmering. Never high pressure for extended times, because that can overheat and cloud the broth. There's a reason chefs and nutritionists always say, gentle heat heals, aggressive heat harms. Your goal isn't to rush the process. It's to coax the nutrients out of those bones, not force them out. Think of simmering as meditation. It's patient, steady, and quiet, and it rewards you with purity and strength. So next time you make bone broth, don't let it roar. Let it whisper. Because even if you simmer perfectly, add the right salt and acid, and keep that nourishing layer of fat, there's still one last mistake that can turn your broth from a healing drink into a health hazard. It happens after you've done all the work, in the final step most people ignore. And it's the reason some homemade broths make people sick even when they look and smell fine. Coming up next. Mistake number 7, storing your broth the wrong way. You've done it all. You've simmered slowly, added the acid, balanced the salt, and kept the healthy fats. Your kitchen smells amazing. You've poured hours of care into that golden pot of broth. Now it's time to cool it down and save it for later. Simple, right? Just turn off the stove, leave it on the counter, and wait for it to reach room temperature. That's what most people do. But here's the problem. That's also one of the biggest safety mistakes you can make. Mistake number 7, storing your broth the wrong way. When broth stays warm for too long, it sits in what food safety experts call the danger zone, between 40 degrees Fahrenheit and 140 degrees Fahrenheit. It's the perfect breeding ground For bacteria like E. coli, Salmonella, and Clostridium botulinum. You can't see them. You can't smell them. But they grow fast, doubling every 20 minutes. When the temperature is right. And for older adults with weaker immune systems. That's a serious risk. Now, you don't need to panic. You just need to cool it the right way. Here's how to do it safely. First, when you finish cooking, don't leave the pot on the stove for hours. Instead, prepare a large bowl or sink with ice water. Place your pot inside the ice bath. And stir the broth gently for about 15 to 20 minutes. This helps it cool down evenly and quickly. Once the broth reaches close to room temperature, transfer it into shallow containers, no more than 3 inches deep. Shallow containers allow faster cooling in the fridge. Deep pots or tall jars keep the center warm for too long. And that's exactly where bacteria multiply. Then, refrigerate it immediately. Don't wait until it's completely cold. Modern refrigerators are designed to cool warm food safely. As long as you don't overload them. Follow the 2+4 rule. Cool your broth from 135 degrees Fahrenheit to 70 degrees Fahrenheit within 2 hours. And from 70 degrees Fahrenheit to 41 degrees Fahrenheit or below within the next 4 hours. That 6-hour window keeps your food in the safe zone. Store your broth for up to 4 days in the refrigerator. Or up to 3 months in the freezer. If you freeze it, leave an inch of space at the top of the container. Liquid expands when it freezes. And here's a simple trick. Label your containers with the date. That way, you'll always know how long it's been stored. If your broth ever smells sour, cloudy, or develops a sticky texture, don't taste it. Just throw it away. It's not worth the risk. One last tip. When reheating, always bring your broth to a gentle boil for at least 1 minute. That ensures any surviving bacteria are killed before you enjoy it again. So remember this. You can spend 2 days making the perfect bone broth. But it takes just 2 careless hours to let bacteria ruin it. Cool it fast. Store it smart. And you'll keep every ounce of goodness. Without the risk. Because at the end of the day, a healthy broth should heal. Not harm. Blank. Even if you've avoided all 7 mistakes. You're storing it safely, simmering gently, keeping the right amount of salt and fat, and drinking it the proper way. There's still one final piece of the puzzle. How and when you drink it decides whether your body truly absorbs all those benefits. That's what we'll uncover in the final segment. The best way to drink your bone broth. For stronger joints, better digestion, and more energy every single day. Coming up next. The right way to drink bone broth, timing, temperature, and practice. You've come a long way. By now, you know how to make bone broth safely, how to simmer it right, and how to keep it rich in nutrients, not bacteria. But there's one last piece most people still miss. Even if your broth is perfect, the way you drink it decides how much your body truly benefits. Let's talk about that. The right way to drink bone broth, so you can actually feel the difference. 1. Timing matters. The best time to drink bone broth is when your stomach is calm and empty. Usually first thing in the morning. Or at least 30 minutes before your first meal. Why? Because that's when your digestive system is most ready to absorb amino acids and minerals. It's like sending nutrients straight into your bloodstream, without competition from other foods. If mornings don't work for you, try between lunch and dinner. A warm cup during that 3 p.m. slump can lift your energy without caffeine. Avoid drinking it right after a big meal. When your stomach is full, absorption slows down, and your body focuses on digestion instead of repair. 2. Temperature counts. Many people drink broth straight from the fridge, or piping hot from the pot. Both can cause problems. If it's too cold, the fat solidifies and your body can't digest it well. If it's too hot, it can irritate your throat and stomach lining, especially if you have acid reflux or a sensitive gut. The ideal temperature? Somewhere around 140 to 160 degrees Fahrenheit. Warm enough to comfort. Cool enough to sip slowly. Think of it like drinking tea. Not scalding, not chilled. Just pleasantly warm and soothing. 3. Sip slowly, don't gulp. Bone broth isn't a drink you chug. It's meant to be savored. Take small sips over 10 to 15 minutes. That slow pace allows your digestive system to recognize nourishment and release enzymes properly. It also helps your brain register fullness. so you feel satisfied and calm afterward. If you have trouble finishing a full cup, start with half and build up. Consistency matters more than volume. 4. Boost it naturally. Once you've mastered the basics, you can elevate your broth with small additions. In the morning, add a pinch of turmeric and black pepper to fight inflammation and joint pain. At lunchtime, stir in a bit of parsley and minced garlic for a natural immune boost. In the evening, try grated ginger, cinnamon, and a touch of raw honey to calm digestion and help you sleep better. These natural ingredients add flavor, but more importantly, they add function. Each cup becomes its own healing moment. 5. Pair it with real food. Bone broth works best as a companion, not a cure. Pair it with protein-rich foods. Eggs, fish, chicken, tofu, and vegetables rich in vitamin C to help your body build collagen naturally. Remember, collagen from broth becomes amino acids in your stomach. To rebuild your own collagen, you still need balanced nutrition. So, think of your broth as the warm foundation of a healthy meal, not the meal itself. 6. Be consistent, not extreme. You don't need gallons of broth to see benefits. 1 or 2 cups a day is plenty. Your body responds to regularity, not excess. Make it a small daily ritual. Morning reflection with a warm mug, or evening wind down before bed. Your body loves routines that feel safe and calm. So let's recap. To drink bone broth the right way. 1. Have it on an empty stomach or between meals. 2. Keep it warm, not hot or cold. 3. Sip slowly. 4. Add natural boosters if you like. 5. Combine it with real food for balance. 6. Be consistent, not obsessive. That's it. Simple, gentle, effective. Your body doesn't need perfection. It needs patience and care. And that cup of bone broth, made with time and intention, can be a small act of healing you give yourself every day. If today's video helped you learn something new, hit subscribe so you never miss the next one. In our next video, we'll talk about how much protein seniors really need and how to get it without upsetting your stomach. Because bone broth is a start, but there's so much more your body can do when it gets the right kind of fuel. So stay tuned, stay strong, and keep caring for yourself. 1 warm cup at a time. You've made it to the end. And that already says a lot about you. You care about your health. You're willing to learn and to change small habits that make a big difference as you age. So before we close, let's take a moment to recap everything you've just learned about making bone broth the right way. Mistake number 1. Treating bone broth as a full meal. Right pointing arrow. Remember, it's a supplement, not a substitute. Use it to support your meals, not replace them. Mistake number 2. Rushing the simmer. Right pointing arrow. Time builds nutrition. Give your broth patience, 12 to 24 hours of gentle simmering. Mistake number 3. Forgetting the acid. Right pointing arrow. 2 tablespoons of vinegar or lemon juice help release minerals that your bones and heart need. Mistake number 4. Skipping the salt entirely. Right pointing arrow. The right amount of sodium keeps your body balanced and alert. Moderation is key, not total avoidance. Mistake number 5. Throwing away all the fat. Right pointing arrow. Keep some of that natural, nourishing fat. It carries vitamins A, D, and K, food for your brain and immune system. Mistake number 6. Boiling instead of simmering. Right pointing arrow. Gentle heat heals, high heat harms. Let your broth whisper, not roar. Mistake number 7. Storing it the wrong way. Right pointing arrow. Cool it fast. Store it shallow. Label it clearly. Keep your broth safe and fresh. Now that you know the 7 mistakes to avoid, here's the truth worth remembering. Bone broth isn't magic. It's not a miracle cure. But it is one of the simplest, most comforting ways to nourish your body from the inside out. It warms your stomach. It soothes your joints. It reminds you that healing doesn't always come in pills or powders. Sometimes it comes from a pot, simmering slowly in your own kitchen, filled with patience and care. So the next time you hold that warm cup in your hands, you'll know you're not just drinking broth. You're drinking time, wisdom, and self-respect. Every careful step you take, from how you cook it to how you drink it, is a message to your body that says, I'm still here. I'm still caring for myself. And that is the real secret to healthy aging. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Which of these 7 mistakes surprised you the most? Were you skipping the acid? Boiling too hot? Or maybe avoiding all salt because you thought it was safer? Let me know down below in the comments. Your experience might help someone else stay healthier too. And if you found this video helpful, please hit the like button. It helps more seniors discover safe, evidence-based advice instead of internet myths. Make sure to subscribe and turn on the bell, because in our next video, we'll talk about something everyone over 60 needs to know: how much protein your body really needs, and how to get it without upsetting your stomach or kidneys. It's simpler than you think, and it can transform the way you age. Until then, keep your pot simmering gently, keep your mind calm, and keep taking care of the only body you'll ever have. Warm broth, warm heart, strong life. See you in the next video.